Hi everyone, this is Angie Wong and I'm president of Legacy Pack. I just want to thank all of our followers. We're close to 100,000 followers on Facebook and we've only been around for a few short months. So thank you again. I'm going to ask you for your continued support leading up to 2024. Please donate to legacy-pac.org. That's legacy-pac.org. Thank you, and we'll see you on the campaign trail.
But I don't think he has the track record to prevail in the primary for the United States president's race. That's why we at Legacy PAC are supporting Donald Trump for the president in 2024.
We're sitting here too much. But you're going to do very well. And I just had somebody write down, first of all, James and Sarah Pritchard, thank you very much. Yes. Great job. Thank you. We appreciate all the help. Stanley and Donna Fitzgerald.
Right here, sir.
Thank you very much. It's great. It's great that you're with us. Mike Acton.
Hi, this is Stan Fitzgerald with Veterans for Trump and Legacy PAC. I'm here with my friend Reagan Box from Georgia, who was announced early running for Senate in 2026. How are you this morning, Reagan?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful morning.
You look like it's a very beautiful property there where you are.
Love it. It's peaceful.
Can you tell our viewers a little bit about your background?
The last 20 years, I've went around the country breaking, training, and showing cutting horses at a national level. And so I've got to work in all shapes and form of ranching, from Georgia to New Mexico. I worked on a 40,000 acre ranch in New Mexico. I was on a women's ranch rodeo team where we were second in the world, and I was reserve world champion also in the U.S. Cutting Horse Association. And I've just been blessed to have fun doing what I do, doing what I love.
And what inspired you to run for United States Senate?
I've been really upset just watching everything on the news, and really people get elected, but there's no change. And finally, I just decided I wanted to be the change I wanted to see. I needed to quit depending on other people to get it done and see what I can do myself.
And going forward, like I noted, it's early. As far as I know, nobody's announced for 2026. So this gives you a lot of time to promote your policies, your platform. What are some of the major issues that you think you could help not only Georgia, but the United States with?
Well, we need the border wall. We see what's going on. And not only is it a problem because American taxpayers are having to pay for all these illegals' health care and stuff like that, but agriculture and ranching wise, we don't know what diseases they're carrying on their clothes, on their shoes and whatnot. And you just adopted a puppy. There are diseases like parvo. Once it gets in the ground, it's in the ground for 7 years. Haiti right now has a problem with cattle ticks and brucellosis and all that. Already they're shutting down shipments of cows into Mexico from the United States because of what they're carrying. And it's all coming in from the illegals. I spoke with a man from Dole, and he was saying they're having trouble on the border in like Salinas Valley and stuff like that. They can't even harvest whole pastures because once they find a footprint from an illegal in the pasture, it's a biosecurity hazard, and they just have to turn over the whole harvest. So the supply is still staying at this, or actually at a lower level, because they can't do what they need to do, but there's an increased demand. So on top of our already inflated prices, we're going to have more inflation because they can't harvest and do what they need to do. And so I think, biosecurity and the border wall, we need to work on. We need to work on the EPA and the watershed acts, because yet again, we're about to have a potato famine, because our EPA, instead of telling people in Colorado and stuff along the Colorado River, they're telling ranchers and farmers, you can't use the water you need to do, so they can't turn out the number of potatoes, but yet they're letting them water golf courses. We've got all those issues going on. We've got to start protecting the rodeos and lands around us. And then there's also stuff like I would like to do is put limitations on the Emergency Power Act for presidents. Every single president since, let's say, FDR has called an emergency for no reason a lot of times. And I think Congress and Senate should have to vote on it and see if there's an actual emergency, so they can't do all these executive orders. There's just a lot of things we need to start protecting in our country, get back to the Constitution, and minimize all of this interference, because all these rules and regulations are really hurting the American people.
Well, that sounds a lot like making America great again. I mean, you're talking about fighting for our farmers, the agriculture industry, more attention to what the establishment and the Democrats look at as flyover states, and cutting government regulation.
Sir, I mean, you think about it, what I'm talking about, I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. This is affecting every single American, and every single American needs to realize what's going on. I mean, just like I was talking to one of my friends in Idaho, and where he's having problems because the government won't allow the hunting of elk to keep the elk number down like they need to. The elk are starving, the wild elk, and so he has alfalfa hay stored in his barn. And he put videos on Facebook that elk were actually coming into his barns and eating his hay, but they were already so starved and emaciating, like he was having to bury them. They were just dying around his barn. And it's, I mean, we're not seeing the cause and effect and symbiotic relationship that nature has. I mean, just like, they try to protect the streams and rivers for fish and don't allow cows to go into it, but they don't realize, like, before white man came, those buffalo were doing the same thing the cows were, and they created a relationship with the fish. The fish kind of follow the herds because the animal eats something and the animal uses a bathroom in the pond. That gives the fish food right there. All the flies and stuff that follow the cows when they land in the stream, then that becomes food for the fish and whatnot. And people just they don't realize what they're really damaging. Their heart's in the right place. They're trying to do good, but they don't know how nature really works.
Well,
Just
yeah,
like I heard one thing the other day, and I never thought of it. One ranch decided they weren't going to use dewormer on their cows anymore because what's happening, just like the dung beetle, that dewormer was killing the dung beetle, which was affecting the birds and all the other wildlife and the breakdown of manure on their farm.
well, it's all part of the ecosystem that is very important to.
Yeah, we don't realize the balance, and we keep trying to play God, and we're not. We're just not. And sometimes you got to realize Mother Nature's a lot smarter than we are.
Well, I think what you're promoting is very important to farmers and the agriculture industry, and should be common sense, but a lot of Americans don't have it.
Well, I mean, to me, especially when you start looking at the organic herds and stuff like that, there's no way most ranchers and farmers can truly do it because they don't have big enough sections of land. And you think about it, like if your neighbor sprayed pesticide, some of it's going to blow over with the wind. When it rains, it's going to wash on your property. If they test for that, then your herd's out. Even then, they don't believe in giving them antibiotics. And then this animal has to suffer because they're not allowed to give them antibiotics. And I don't see what the big deal is when you look at the withdrawal periods on all the medication, and most of them maximum are 2 weeks withdrawal periods. So as long as you go through the withdrawal period, what's wrong? I was talking to a chicken farmer here in North Georgia, and this blows my mind. What do you think that chicken farmer makes on average per chicken?
I have no idea.
Less than 25 cents a chicken.
Wow.
Now, granted, you have 40,000 chickens in a chicken house, 30 to 40,000 somewhere in there, but still, that's not much money. But they are not allowed to give them medicated feed at all. So this one farmer had a bacteria going through the chickens that just came from the chicken hatching out of the egg, and it's easily cured by giving them medicated feed. Well, they're not allowed to give any feed, and so what they do is have to humanely euthanize all the chickens. So they shut all the doors, they shut off all the fans, and they let the temperature rise, and it suffocates them, and they all die. He had to do that to 4 chicken houses. So, like, what is that? 160,000 birds. And then that poor farmer isn't allowed to have birds on his place again for another 6 months.
Wow, that's
How do you, that's his way of living. That's the way he makes his money. How you shut down his business for 6 months when it could have been easily prevented by giving these animals medicated feed. And then you killed 160,000 animals for no reason when you could have saved them.
so some of these policies definitely have to, the science has to be looked at. You need to bring attention to Congress. All good points. Let's switch over to animal cruelty accusations in the rodeo or bull riding industries. You're involved to an extent. And, we have a lot of people in Georgia here that make a living in this industry, and it's very popular. It's my understanding that you've done some research, and animal rights activists, mostly Democrat organizations, are trying to shut this industry down. What have you found out?
You know, any major show usually has vet on hands for all the animals just in case something does happen, because anyone that's been around these animals knows you're not going to prevent everything, and sometimes they might have an injury that no one knows about, and it could cause them to accidentally break a leg in stopping or something, if they already have a hairline fracture that no one picked up on or something. So there's always a vet on hand. They have special splints and boots for the animals if they do get hurt, so they don't continue the injury more. They have, just like people have stretchers, they have stretchers on hand for the animals to get them out of the arena so they don't continue to injure themselves. Bucking bulls and bucking horses, people think they're just abused and not taken care of. They get their feet trimmed every 6 to 8 weeks, just like any other horse would. They're taken care of. They get the best hay. That alfalfa hay they feed those bucking horses is probably $30 to $40 for 100-pound square bale. I mean, they're getting the best care they can possibly get. So I'm not. And then you look, like you were telling me, your friend has bucking bulls. They sell them for $1 million sometimes. They're not going to abuse an animal they put $1 million into. It just, you're not going to do it. Those rope horses and barrel horses, you're looking at for like NFR horses. I guarantee you, there's not a horse in that arena bought for less than $60,000 to $100,000. You're not going to abuse these animals. People just need to realize, like, they become family. They spend more time with those animals than they do probably most of their families. They love for them. They care them. I mean, they have massaging blankets. I mean, you should see some of the blankets for equine massage and stuff. $5,000, $6,000 for the blankets alone, just to give them a 30-minute muscle relaxer, muscle massage before you get on them. You're not gonna, these animals, honestly, I wish I was cared for like that.
Well, I mean, that's Democrats. They're good at destroying the business in our country and things that Americans hold dearly. So
Well,
you'll be
I think in any industry, and you can tell me your opinion on it, but you're always going to have people that abuse the system and don't do right. And we need to come down harshly on those for anyone who's not doing right with the system. But for the little bit of bad, ultimately it's good.
well. There's a double tiered system here. So in this country, and what Democrats want to see, they look for. What they don't want to see, they let it happen. Everybody knows
Well,
that. But
I
listen,
have just a smidge of Native American blood in me, and maybe it's just the Native American blood, but just like the chicken deal I was telling you about, I would rather see the animal killed and have a purpose for its life by feeding America than
right.
just killed because we didn't want to give them medicated feed.
Well, that's why you're a Republican. You make sense. So listen, how could people find you to go on the internet to look you up and interact with you? How could they find you?
On Facebook and on Telegram, you can look me up at Reagan Box U.S. Senate 2026. And I'm
Okay.
working on a website right now, so we're getting there slowly but surely.
Well, we'll come back to you when your website is up with the Vet Voice, and we'll talk to you again. Good luck, and I'm sure we'll see you in Georgia.
Okay, thank you, Stan.
You're welcome. Bye-bye now.
Bye.